We're constantly working to a state of being level. Level-headed, leveling up.
Level apes.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah.
Amino Tarek just got a red. I like to see
Oh,
that.
nice. It is August 21st, 2019. This is Atlanta United FC Weekly at Home Before Dark podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Now that's done.
Yeah, now that that's done, your work's over. You can go.
See you guys later.
Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in on this lovely Wednesday. It's weird. We haven't recorded on a Wednesday in like 2 years, probably.
Yeah, it's been a while. This could be the regular night.
Yeah, it did. But yeah, thank you guys for joining us. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you guys hit the subscribe button, notification bell icon, smash that like button. Make sure that you guys get notified whenever we go live. So you can join the trap like all these fine folks right here who are having a ball chatting before we got recording. If you guys are listening to us on iTunes, podcast, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Stitcher, whatever, leave us a rating.
We got a bunch of those to read tonight.
Leave us a rating and or review, and we'll read it live on the show, which, as Kevin alluded to, we'll read later tonight. I am Tim Herb. As always, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Mr. Kevin Bradley, across from me. And we're being joined by one of the mouths of the South.
That's me.
Josh Bagriansky.
I'm one of them. That's me. Like, good to be with you guys.
Yeah. Thanks for coming over. It's been a long time, like, in the making. We've been trying to get this going for a while.
The last time I was here, Kevin was still hyping up Ollie Shannon as, like, MLS Rookie of the Year candidate in one of the all-time worst podcast takes of all time.
I was never proven wrong. He didn't really get a chance.
He never put a foot wrong. You're right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, show me where he messed up, really, and then I'll concede defeat. But
fair enough.
There was one fateful night on Snapchat that really did him in.
Yeah, you can all thank Ollie Shannon.
That's true.
For the events that transpired after MLS
documentation of the Magic
You're
City.
all welcome.
That's
so
true.
I was proven right after all.
Fair enough.
If you really think about it.
No, I actually I take it all back. Without him, we wouldn't know about that. I mean, yeah, that's true.
It's true, yeah.
I think he was released the next day, if I'm not mistaken.
That's the Clemson in him.
There would be far
yeah, that is very Clemson.
There would be far fewer butt cheeks having been pressed against that cup.
That we know about.
That we know of. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
If you don't know about the butt cheeks,
do you think that happened before or after Darren laid in bed with it? You would hope after, right?
Ooh, yeah.
Like that would be hilarious.
Wait,
if all of a sudden you kind of like do the Liam Neeson math on it to find out like the series of events, when the picture was taken by Darren Eales in the hotel bed with the trophy versus when Magic City events transpired.
Yeah, I did not consider that before. That is scary stuff.
That is a good point, Josh. Everybody in the trap is pretty much saying you need, like Ellie Beaven saying, you need to get Eric a world cruise.
Right.
Yeah,
we got to keep Eric Quintana in the co-house Mouths of the South. I think it's pretty clear that he is a pox on Atlanta United from day one this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he magically leaves the country, goes home to see his family, and we got a trophy. We beat Portland on the road.
Yeah.
So, it's funny because we released a podcast this week and the audio quality is terrible because Eric's not there. But I'll take a trophy in bad quality on our podcast.
Yeah.
With Eric out of the country. So it's funny that people have really latched on this branding of him. I mean, he's getting killed on Twitter and he deserves it. Yeah, he deserves it. Don't get me wrong, but it's great.
I feel like each year there's a trope of him, some sort of caricature on Twitter.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah,
like he spoke ill of Tito in year one, and that just never died out.
Yeah,
it's true.
And I think Barco maybe last year,
and he also stated that he was 99% sure that Tata Martino would stay. So I told him he hopefully learned from that experience.
And you're criticizing my bad takes on
I
Ollie
never
Shannon?
said you were smarter than Eric. I never said Eric was smarter than you. I didn't say that. We didn't get it.
No one would be so foolish.
And you guys love Eric. I love Eric.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Eric's a good dude.
It's not, he happens to be killing our club. And that's, we can still like him, but, we've got to do something about this.
The lovable dictator.
Yeah. We tolerate him.
Yeah. I think that's a good way of putting it.
I still think one of my favorite Eric moments was not even Eric, but the podcast wars that sparked. I mean, last year was peak podcast wars. It comes back from time to time, but the first big wave, and I think it was our buddy Kendrick Brock who did the Hitler broadcast of like calling everybody in from Mouths of the South about all the different podcast shows and Eric is Hitler. Oh my God, so good.
that was
so
a
good.
Really good one.
Yeah,
it was peak.
He's just going, wait, I'm Hitler.
I mean, you know,
you can just kind of hear the gears turning in his head.
I've got to be Hitler.
Well, I mean,
it's pretty great.
Yeah.
And picking on Eric is just, I mean, it's just wonderful. I mean, he's just always takes the bait.
Easy target.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
easy target. He takes it really well though.
Yeah. Top lad
at the end of the day.
Sure. He definitely does.
Oh, how are you guys feeling tonight?
Good. I mean, what is there to feel bad about? Am I over the moon? Absolutely confident that Atlanta locks up first place. Not necessarily, but that doesn't mean that I have anything to feel negative about as we enter the final stretch of the season.
There are, you had mentioned, or Josh had mentioned right whenever we had started, that there's some MLS games going on right now.
NYC's playing, currently leading Columbus at half 1-0, and Red Bulls are leading DC after a red card, or I don't know if the goal was scored prior to or following the red card to Rooney for trying to assassinate someone with a forearm to the neck inside the box. Yeah, on a corner kick.
He's ready to go to Derby.
Decapitating? Did he decapitate him?
Yeah.
Decapitated
Knocked his head all the way off.
Knocked his head clean off. NYCFC just beat Columbus 1-0. Yeah, that's unfortunate for us because of the whole games in hand situation.
Yeah. I think that's probably the team to be worried about more so than Philadelphia. Of course, you play Philadelphia pretty much a 6-pointer next weekend, but NYCFC is the team that worries me, I think, in terms of who's going to get the one spot in the East. If you look at it right now, I'm kind of with you, Kevin, like, got to feel good about what you've seen the last few weeks and how much it looks like last year where you were the best team in the league, a little less the conference. So, but if I look at it, I think Philadelphia, I mean, not a ton of experience being in this situation before. I would expect New York to be the team that challenges for the one seed in the East.
Yeah, I think so too. One thing that we have in our favor with New York City is their playoff record over the past few years. It's pretty abysmal. It is interesting though that they lose Patrick Vieira, they lose David Villa. Who else? They lost somebody else too.
Yanho Herrera through the middle. That was a big one. Yep.
And they're better than they were last year.
Yeah.
They're just a more well-rounded team. There's not a whole lot of focus on a single player like maybe there was with David Villa, and they're getting goals from Castellanos, the little bald guy, the little Brazilian bald guy. What's his name?
Herrera? Is that how you pronounce? I think he's one of the most underrated signings of the offseason. He's been a great number 9 for them.
Yeah. And he looks like Dobby from Harry Potter.
What?
Is it Dobby, you mean?
Dobby.
I know
or Dobby. Like a Doberman pincher. Like he looks like a Dobby. No, he looks like Ben Kingsley in
you were talking about Photoshop for a second. It's like, whatever
Adobe,
whatever Harry Potter's doing graphic design in Adobe Suite.
Yeah, exactly.
Doing all those invites for graduation.
No wonder you told me I didn't have to prepare for the show tonight. I was like, what should I prep for?
Content makes it.
And Tim just like laughed at me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have you never?
I mean, I just wanted to be polite.
You've been involved enough.
You guys know your shit. I mean, it's not like. Anyways, it was good to know.
We have our place. I feel like over the past couple of years, I think each one of the podcasts has kind of steered in their own lane.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. We know where we belong.
We got a brand, right? You got a brand. And of course.
That's it.
So how are you? So you actually did release an article recently on Dirty South Soccer about essentially what the 3-5-2 really being a 3-4-3 type situation, and you understand those tactics a lot better than us. I mean, how are you feeling about how this team has adapted to that? Who is more responsible for that? Like, what is it like a push and pull, like a meet me in the middle type of situation?
That's the question, right? I mean, I think it's funny, and as usual, the people are the two extremes with no one realizing the answer is somewhere in between. You've got one group of people saying they're just a mirror image of what they did last year. He just said, okay, just 2018 tactics. I'm done coaching. That's what DeBoer didn't do that. And he also, then the other side of it is that DeBoer is this genius who made this tactical change when we've kind of seen the system before. So there's always the devil's in the details. I think push and pull is a kind of a good way to put it. I mean, clearly they've met in the middle. And one of the things I wrote in that article was that, yes, it looks similar to last year where it's more aggressive. You're attacking more vertically. And of course you should be doing that with the personnel you have. But some of the positional interchange, particularly with Barco and PT, and without getting too far into the weeds, the main thing the article covers.
Do you need a whiteboard?
Yeah, right. Can we just get a board out here to just watch your viewer count just drop?
I did have that idea of like getting like a touch screen and then like being able to stream that to part of the screen.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna be doing MS Paint the entire time.
I would be all over that. I feel like most people would be bored. But the main gist of it is that in attack in the 3-5-2, Barco, who's playing as your highest center midfielder, turns into a left winger, and PT, who's playing underneath Joseph Martinez, turns into a right winger. And that's where that 3-4-3 comes from that you guys are talking about, which is what Frank de Boer started the season off with. So clearly you've got a mix, and that's the main thing the piece is about. And it's just about that one specific part of it. There are a lot of other components you can look at, but you have a mix of Frank de Boer's kind of style with the fast-paced Atlanta United we saw in 2018. And then what you've seen from that is the ability to attack fast, those things we've gotten used to. But you're also seeing Atlanta United still able to win the possession battle, slow down the tempo when they need. And so now I think it's a little bit more of both. Whereas last year it was just sit and counter or play direct. You know, if you had possession, it was just a correlational effect of playing aggressive and pressing. And you had a player like Miguel Almiron who could basically make any tactic work. Now you're seeing, I think, a little more structure to it this season.
I think it's been tough and to play into this concept that you mentioned, rightfully so, that everybody kind of thinks it's on one side of the spectrum or the other, where it's like, he's just reverted back completely to a Tata system, or that he's all of a sudden just created something completely new or whatever. I will say that the stark contrast happened just I think it was maybe the Orlando game or the game after that, where there was a stark difference in the offensive approach to the game. And I think it was probably right around the time that Barco got healthy, where the team looked completely different. And I had to kind of think to myself, have we reverted back to this quick counter offensive strategy, because it was so different to the possession-based tactics that were being employed before? It wasn't really until this Portland game, and specifically the possession in the backfield, which has always been lacking in the short history of Atlanta United over the past couple of years, where it's been clear it out, play a fastball out of the back line, and hit on a counter. Now, to your point, it is this hybridized approach where Atlanta is comfortable enough in the backfield, whether it's Miles Robinson feeling completely confident to take a player on one-on-one and then distribute the ball out, or fucking Justin Meram in that Portland game coming back there and dribbling around players inside the 6-yard box. Like there's nothing, like he's on the opposite end of the field.
It's like I was playing FIFA.
It was ridiculous.
He's just begging to get that deflected or to get that taken away. But and then another guy too that allows that shift to take place in the middle of the games, I think it's probably the most underrated player in MLS, and Darlington Nagbe.
Yeah.
Like, because he can play at you see his pace.
Absolutely.
Like that's one thing I think gets taken for granted is how fast he is. Like, he's quick, but he's also like his ability to sprint back and his ability to sprint forward with the ball at his feet. I think we go as he goes, and he's been outstanding the past couple weeks. And I think he's controlled the tempo of the game. He's been able to, I don't know if man marking is not necessarily the right call there, but being able to track down Blanco in attack, and I don't know. I think
the Portland game was the game I was most concerned about because of the way that they played against the Galaxy, and the way that Atlanta gets exposed is by teams like Portland playing the ball past our back line, and then having to have defenders track back one-on-one and exposing those holes. Somehow Atlanta United was able to recover consistently with Miles Robinson or whoever else on the back line to keep those exposures to a minimum and then recover. Sometimes it ends up resulting in Brad Guzan having to make a standout save where he comes to the top of the 18 and has to slide on somebody one-on-one. But more times than not, if we can keep that to a minimum, we can win the XG race and conceivably end up with a proper result.
And I think you're seeing, Frank de Boer accepting that in this new kind of look that you're going to have those situations where you are a little more open. So you're going to get in 1v1 situations in the back. You're going to get caught out at times, and you just have to rely on your defenders to do well 1v1. And that's where Miles Robinson comes in, because I think particularly with the somewhat decline in form we've seen from Michael Parkhurst, you put a guy like Robinson in there with incredible recovery speed who can, and he's done so well 1v1. And it's almost like you can get away with playing a player like Nagbe, who, like you said, Tim, the question with him when he came in was, well, can you put him next to another holding midfielder? Because he's not a great tackler, and he's done a pretty decent job. But at the same time, you have to kind of accept with the way you're set up that you're going to be exposed at times. And I think Miles Robinson just being able to put out fires in the back over and over and over again is what has enabled Atlanta United to go forward and feel comfortable with the fact they might be a little bit exposed with those three just sitting back all on their own, particularly when you're playing Miram and Gressel as wingbacks. And you saw that against Portland. And like you said, Kevin, you win the XG battle, which I think makes a big difference in a game that was wide open. Both teams looked dangerous at times. It was great to watch. And yet Atlanta creates 2 times the amount of chances just because they're defending so much better in 1v1 situations.
Well, it's also the 1v1 defending depends on that 3-back to have someone as just as much as you talk about a holding midfield, you need to have a holding back line that allows some overlap defensively. And so you see defenders almost taking that rather than just charge in, except for Miles Robinson in the center. Typically on the wings, if there's a breakaway play, you see defenders just trying to contain so that they have somebody there established as an overlap, whether it's Miram tracking back or Nagbe covering or Gressel coming back on right side. I've noticed that a lot more, which seems to be in line with what Frank wants to do with having that second line of defense there.
Yeah, I agree.
And then having someone to play off of if the ball gets turned over to play that possession battle.
And I think that's a direct representation of something the team has improved on within this season and doing more so of what De Boer wants to do, because even looking back early on, look back to like Arellano and those early CCL matches, you were seeing those back three get attacked like that and step early and constantly they're getting in behind you. So that's a good example of where the team has adjusted to what De Boer wants, as well as, like we said, he's adjusted to more of the way they want to play as well.
I've seen Octavio Mingura in the trap was saying, I feel like our back line is, what did he say? It's more fierce than it was last year.
It just seems more confident. It seems much more controlled.
Absolutely. I think, and I was saying this early on in the season too, where we may have not been playing up to our potential or playing up to what we did last year, but I felt more I felt like I knew what to expect from game to game.
We were creating the building blocks to
which is what he always. That's what he talked about in the beginning of the season. Coming in was starting from defense, right, and creating that identity. And one thing I will say, so Miles Robinson, absolutely like classic center back, not a new age contemporary ball playing John Stones type center back. He's there to, as you say, put out fires. Yeah. But I will say his ability, like I've seen his progression is very quick, or his he's gotten a lot better recently in his distribution. Like, there was one or two tackles that he made against Portland where he put out the fire and immediately pushed the ball to either Nagbe or Barco or somebody right in the center of the pitch. And it was like that. If that's a glimpse of what he is going to be, well,
it's not even just distribution. It's his ability to move with the ball into the midfield, to pull those midfielders to him, to open up lanes to Nagbe and stuff to distribute to, which is not something that we had seen. We saw LGP do it from time to time and then get tied up. But to see Miles Robinson step up in that way is creating. I mean, I've seen a lot of videos over the past week or so just showing him do exactly that and stepping into that space in the central midfield to then play it out to Nagbe or whoever else.
And that's such a big part of attacking direct is when you do win the ball in the back, usually that means the other team is committed forward. So you got to hit that pass and go vertical right away. And that's something we know Perez is great at. Parkhurst is great at. Escobar pretty good at it. With Robinson, it was early on this season, even was good tackler, good recovery speed, maybe a little shaky on the ball. And even if he can just be an average distributor out of the back with the amount of tackles that he wins, with the amount of times he wins the ball back, that becomes an attacking weapon too, going back to front.
Yeah. Dude, his anticipation is another thing that I think stands out really well. I mean, I have not seen him jump early on any headers, any 50-50 balls that are coming.
He got burned once in Portland, not on a 50-50, but he took an early slide and got cut pretty.
Oh yeah, he got chopped up.
He got cut pretty bad in the midfield. He got caught a little too far forward, and I forget who it was that cut him, but I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Well, I just feel like any direct balls that are played over the top that are near him, I feel like immediately he's going to chest or head down, and he's going to get it out. without any sort of ill consequence.
And just seeing the way that he's able to play body control and size management in a one-on-one and use his hands and be physical without being overly aggressive and drawing a penalty or something like that has been really, really fun to watch.
Do we have to worry about him getting the Miazga treatment and going overseas next year?
He's been really good. I don't know if it'd be right away next year, but he's been really, really good.
If he does this 2 years in a row, I don't think we keep him. Next year, to your point, I don't know if it's – I guess it depends on how deep Atlanta goes in the playoffs.
He's young, but he's 22?
He's 20. He might be even older. I'm not sure, yeah. But the other thing with him that I think makes him appealing is his wages are relatively low.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to come get him from overseas, you don't have to give him a huge pay raise to bring him in. So
yeah, he's not Aaron Long.
Yeah. And I mean, I would like to see him get a.
Yeah, he's 22 years old.
I'd like to see him get a sniff from Berhalter. I mean, I think he deserves
absolutely.
chance to play for the U.S. men's national team.
He got called up to the provisional roster for the Gold Cup, and I think that was probably a big boost to him too, because he's college kid that what played with the U20s and ended up playing with what do you play in the U23s, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I thought that was great to see him get called up. Nagbe needs a call up though.
Oh God. Yeah, it's great. It's crazy.
It baffles me that Michael Bradley continues to get called up, but Nagbe can't get a sniff.
Well, it's probably because of Michael Parkhurst and Will Bowron's point about what Parkhurst has been doing off the pitch is turning into our very own new Bobby Boswell 2.0. Him trolling Nagbe after Nagbe got cut up by that Club America player last week.
He also got on him after a bad shot from outside the box earlier in the year.
Oh, you got to do something when you're not out there playing.
It's crazy, Nagbe, though. I mean, I feel like this is the first time that he's been used in the position where he excels the most in like a consistent basis. I mean, we've seen, including the U.S. men's national team and in Portland, him try to be turned into a 10. We've seen him try to be turned into kind of an 11 or a 7 and play out wide. But the guy is clearly like a box-to-box player that can complete passes and get out of tight spaces. And it just surprises me that whether it be from the Portland perspective when he was there or whether it be from the U.S. men's national team's perspective, that not only that he wasn't used properly. And it just surprised me that not only has he not gotten maybe the chances he deserves at the international level, but he's not been put in the positions that he plays best at. And I feel like he's just been completely misused as a player throughout his career.
Doesn't that beg the question of whether or not he should go back to Columbus? I mean, if he wants to go back to Columbus to go play under Caleb Porter again, who deployed him in the wrong position for years in Portland. I mean,
I don't understand it either.
Just nostalgia, I guess.
Caleb Porter did say a couple times, he was like, well, with our personnel, we have to move him here. So maybe he understands that Nagbe is more of an 8 and his hand was more forced when he was his coach in Portland. I don't know. I don't know. Why would you want to go to Columbus anyway? But
yeah, no, I don't know either. Yeah. Go and play in front of 16 fans. Yeah. And
sounds awesome. I'm glad we saved those guys.
Yeah.
It's cool.
There were nervous.
I love how it was all save the crew, and now it's all like, why did we do that? Like now it is. Of course,
everybody's like, including myself. I wasn't all on the save the crew bandwagon, but for me, I was always baffled. Like I was baffled by the whole Austin thing because the Austin Aztecs obviously didn't work. They went to Orlando. Right. They went to, but they sold out their season tickets, right? Like within hours.
I'm sure. Like, did Nashville as well?
Oh, that I don't know.
So there was a bunch. I mean, Austin is like a kind of millennial, younger. I mean, there is some of the MLS market to that city. What's crazy about it was they just had never been involved in the expansion talk before, and then suddenly they got a team.
Did you guys get screwed with getting those Nashville tickets too? Do you guys get the emails all the time from them now from that preseason game last year?
Oh, you don't?
I get a fucking email
after standing in the rain in that baseball field. I get an email
from them like every other week. So Nashville FC tickets on sale. It's just like, stop.
So do I.
Leave me alone.
So do I. Yeah.
That was the Orlando tickets. After we had applied for a media credential down in Orlando.
That's right.
And we ended up on their mailing list.
Oh,
and
man.
It was just like,
that's right.
We just emailed them back like, I don't think you should be sending this to us. Like, we're not.
Have you guys been getting the emails about Falcons season tickets that go out to all the Atlanta United seasons?
I haven't gotten that.
I have been getting KSU tickets, like KSU, like football tickets and all that. Like, what? I haven't even gone. I didn't even go to it.
I don't know. I guess I don't know if I'm the only one. If anyone in the Trap's getting them too, but I'm getting emails all the time. Like, I can give you Falcon season tickets, and then you see the price, and it's just like clearly this is not the demographic
my favorite part about
looking at.
My favorite part about Atlanta United season tickets, you don't have to pay a PSL.
Right. And your ticket, the PSL cost the season ticket for Atlanta United.
No, more than that, I would say. Yeah, that's club tickets.
Yeah, true.
Brittany S., I am very disappointed. You're late. I know we were late, but you're way late, and that's just not what I like to see.
Yeah. Disappointed.
So the Portland game was pretty nervy at times. We got very lucky that Brian Fernandez did not have a good game against us.
It was that one game this year that was way too late. I watched the first half.
I stayed up.
I couldn't do the second half.
I stayed up.
I got through. I started the second half. I was like, I can do this. I can power through. And then once Joseph scored that fucking banger in the second half to open it up, I was like, I can rest easy.
I couldn't tell if ATL Greg was giving me shit for. So I posted that. I was like, can you play a better ball than what Gressel just did? And he's like, I'm glad that you focused on the more impressive part about that. I couldn't tell if he's being sarcastic. What was more impressive to you? Joseph's finish or Gressel's
That's a great question.
Ooh.
In the trap, what was more impressive? Gressel's vision to find Joseph on that, I'll include Joseph's run in that, or Joseph's ability to play it, top corner.
I think
so quickly on a dime.
I think I would go Joseph just because we've seen Gressel play that ball a million times. I mean, it's still very difficult, but Joseph's finish was such a unique, like where it looked like he was going to chip. But I thought his setup touch kept the ball too close to him, so then he finesses it into the upper corner.
Well, he also I think I lean towards Joseph as well, just because of his post-game interview, where he, as a viewer, you could recognize the fact that the keeper was positioning himself to play the ball to the right, and Joseph shot it to the left, and for not only for him to set up, but also recognize that the keeper was leaning to that direction to put it in the opposite corner in a narrow window. I lean towards Joseph being obviously the beneficiary of the better of those two.
So Grego for the culture, our buddy who was on with us last week, says the pass. Domer says Gressel. Will Balron says the pass. Coach Steve says Joseph.
It's a great question, honestly. It really is. I mean, normally you would go with Gressel, but the uniqueness of the finish and the way he kind of had to make that decision at the last second to kind of go for more power, because I thought he was going to chip the ball.
Right.
And when he first hit it with kind of pace, I was like, that's going 20 rows over the goal. And then suddenly you see the net bulging.
And then you realize it was Joseph and not Pitty. And so he could put it on frame and anywhere near the 18. So,
enjoy your next 24 hours on Twitter, dude. Just going after PT.
I'm used to it.
The trains.
Yeah,
the trains are
exactly.
Come on, there are many trains out there.
Now you got herpes.
Trains with a Z. Yeah, herpes with a Z.
My God.
Yeah. So to that same point, if Joseph had run inside the 18 and just beat the keeper in a 1-on-1, I would say absolutely Gressel. But again, for him to take that shot with the timing and pace that he did, in the position that he did, to have the heads up awareness to recognize the fact that the keeper was cheating one direction and to put it in that upper right 90 is pretty great.
I think if it was just a regular chip or even a regular shot with pace, you'd go with Gressel. But since he had to make that decision at the very last moment because of the way that
you guys have convinced me. I was all on that Gressel
bandwagon. Good for us.
Yeah.
Well, good job, man.
Somebody in the comments. Somebody in the comments was saying. It was impressive, too, that PD and Barca were able to pull the center backs off of Joseph on that run, too.
Agreed.
And Kevin Brown said Joseph's run, which I said was included in Gressel's pass.
I'm glad that Greg picked up on what I wanted. I wanted to tweet something about it, but I figured everybody else was thinking. Same thing. Portland loves PTFC. That's all I could think of the entire game.
No PD.
Until those chants ended and all you could hear was Atlanta United.
That was impressive. That's one thing I will say. The traveling supporters.
It was amazing.
Yeah. Being able to hear the sha-la-la-la at the end of the game over the Portland supporters.
It's pretty great.
The massive 25,000 person crowd that seemed to have a lot of empty seats. And
what
do you make of PD's form right now? I think that he is coming into his own. No?
Okay. The biggest issues that I see in this Atlanta team right now, because I think that there are issues to be made, is the back line. If it gets exposed with a long pass or something like that, I think it's inconsistent and you're relying in some one-off playmaking ability and a one-on-one positional awareness of Miles Robinson or a challenge at the top of the 18 with Brad Guzan. We already talked about that. I think they can remedy that by winning the shots on goal battle, everything else, and doing some of the overlapping things in space with the defensive backs. But Pity Martinez I don't know how you remedy his shot placement in or around the 18. I feel like he's more accurate the further away from goal he gets. Anywhere near the 18-yard box, he is putting it in the upper tier of the stadium wherever he's playing.
He had a shot on target on Sunday, didn't he?
The free kick?
He had 2 inside the 18-yard box that were not on target.
Yeah,
I think he did have the free kick. Yeah,
the free kick, absolutely. Yeah, because he's got time to. I feel like I want Frank DeBoer to have Pitty taking shots on a run. I feel like he's perfectly fine and capable in a free kick scenario, but Pitty Martinez on the run at the top or inside the 18-yard box is wildly inaccurate. I mean, he's all over the place. I think his positional awareness and ability to distribute is hit or miss, but it's more on the hit side than it maybe was in weeks past. But you need him to be able to put a shot on frame. Like, you need somebody besides Joseph Martinez to score goals, or a defender that ends up being able to pick up a scrap goal like LGP did, or Miles Robinson did on a header goal a couple of weeks ago, or whatever. Like, Barco or Pitty Barco needs to be back to. That's another thing, is like Barco hasn't been taking as many shots as he was before the international break, where we saw him take that run at the top of the 18, cut it back to his right, and just take that shot. And now he's kind of holding on to it a little bit too long. You want to see him maybe take a shot here or there. Pitty Martinez is taking shots, but they're wildly off target. Joseph, again, seems to be the only person actually creating opportunities, and luckily he's capitalizing on them. But I'm hoping that's what we see down the stretch and what we're going to need in playoffs, because teams and defenders are going to realize sooner rather than later that what we've been expecting or relying on somebody other than Joseph Martinez to draw the attention of defenders so that they're a lethal threat in scoring chances isn't really a threat. So they're only going to focus on Joseph Martinez and shut down our offense completely.
I think that's a little unfair, though, because if you leave Petey open, that leaves him to less pressure to distribute too. I mean, the way that he's been able to operate with Justin Miram at times too has been pretty impressive. I'm
not saying you let him run the full field, but what I mean is I don't think defenders are going to double team him as much once he gets near the 18-yard box as much as they're going to depend on double teaming Joseph Martinez, because he's going to be the bigger threat as it relates to goal scoring opportunities, and allow Pitty to try to make a distribution, but you've got the player that's going to actually make a shot or score a goal double teamed.
You know what I think happens? Gressel starts scoring more. I don't know.
From right wing back, though, is difficult to get.
It really is.
I think that's a big part in terms of, who is going to replace the goals that left with Almiron. I mean, obviously you still have Joseph scoring for fun. I mean, dude's incredible. But you even saw it against Portland, where even the Pires goal comes from Joseph getting in front of his defender. And then Barco and PT both have a couple chances they don't finish. So I do think that could become an issue. I mean, of course, at the same time, it's like, who knows? Joseph might just keep scoring every match.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, at the same time, last year, you had another guy in Almiron, and to some extent, Gressel, who could pick up the goal-scoring slack when needed it. And I think Barco's been good. PT's been better, but I still would like to see from both of them that final touch and ability to be clinical around the goal. Because like you said, Kevin, those are going to be the guys that are going to get into space and get chances. And they need to finish better to draw defenders away from Joseph.
I mean, to that point, I think, and I'm completely just on a whim here because I haven't looked this up or validated it, but I'm pretty sure Barco has just as many, if not more, goals than Pitty Martinez does with half the games played for Atlanta United this season. Which is saying
yeah. I mean, if clearly, I mean, his goals per 90 are at the very least way higher. Yeah. I think he's scored more goals too. The thing with PT is, so I mean, I do kind of agree with you, Tim. He's coming into his he's playing way better, and the most positive thing for me.
I'm not taking away from that.
Like, he's a couple miles an hour faster the past couple games. I feel
his endurance seems to be a lot more substantial too.
And I usually hate that type of he looks more lively, because it's just kind of what you say about someone when they're in better form. But in this case, it's totally true. Absolutely. It just looks different.
Absolutely.
And the big thing is, maybe he's not converting those opportunities, but he's getting them now. Yeah. He's getting on the ball in dangerous areas. So it is a step in the right direction. And like you said, Kevin, you need to see a little more consistent play from him in the final third. And then I think you're where you need to be.
Now, let me pose this question to you because I also don't watch much or any.
Brian has 2 good points. Sorry, I just wanted to cut.
Yeah, no.
He said obviously Jeff is going to pick up the slack after that amazing goal against.
That's a good point.
And he's been big the last few fixtures.
Yeah, and he's been great. And then he also said Barco has 1 more goal and 10 less appearances.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So to that point, I think that you also have to look at what a lot of these South American players, their transition the first year in MLS. I think a lot of players coming from South America have a lot of preconceived notions about what MLS is and what the officiating maybe calls or doesn't call in South American play, from my knowledge, which is why you see players like Yamil Asad or Barco or now Pity Martinez trying to quote unquote draw fouls and not getting them, and quickly realizing that the MLS is a far more talented and more physical league than maybe their preconceived notions of it were. And it takes them about a year to recognize and transition into that. And I think we're starting to see that with Pity. He seems much more match fit, at least now, where he doesn't seem like he's just given up at the 65-minute mark anymore.
And just the way the league is officiated is different too. I mean, it's a very physical league. I mean, I'm pretty critical of this style of officiating, but it is what it is. You know, at this point, I think MLS in its evolution, the officials do kind of favor more physical play and don't tend to protect more technical creative players. We won't go down that rabbit hole because I think that's a terrible thing for the league and growing the game. But PT has adjusted to that because that's totally different in South America where, you know, that type of play is more favored by officials. And he has adjusted to that and an understanding of when to go down and when not. And even against Portland, you still see it's a struggle for him because I thought the official was terrible.
Well, Armando to that point, what are both of your points or thoughts on that PK or lack thereof?
I can't believe. Go ahead. I'll collect my thoughts.
It should have been both a sending off and a penalty.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about sending off because he did technically make a play on the ball. So that would be a yellow card since it's in the box.
And how much of that is based or predicated on Pity Martinez's play and like sort of the precedent that he sets through his style of play and easy willingness to go down early on, the lack of calls by the officials as a result of that? Like, it should have been reviewed. I think it actually was. It's still
they looked at. I mean, that's what's frustrating, right? It's like in real time is one thing.
Yeah.
But if you get to see the fucking replay, it doesn't matter what his reputation is. He got clipped.
And that's the point.
And that's 2 weeks in a row where he's won a penalty in the box. And the big thing is I look almost more so at the penalty 2 weeks ago where he at the end of the Galaxy match, he won the penalty. You know, like that's a skill where he gets the defender leaning the wrong way. Yeah, maybe he went down a little easily, but he forces the defender into a mistimed challenge. And MLS officials need to get a better understanding of,
well, especially if they're going to come out afterwards and say, yeah, that should have been a penalty. What the fuck are you talking about after the fact? Like, what's the point of having an official on the field if you're going to come out after the fact? If anything, I'd rather the solidarity and them just like take ownership with the call and say, yeah, no, that shouldn't have been a penalty than to admit fault in that. Because why do you have these officials on the field?
It looks very bad if you're able to look at the replay.
Right. And like, not only did the official not make the call, the review of it didn't make a call, but then after the fact to come out and say that there should have been a call, that's a triple check along the line. That should not be the case.
Is it ironic, or I actually don't even know the right word for it? Armando Villarreal is one of 3 FIFA referees that referee pro or whatever.
He's
MLS
doing
games.
VAR at the U17 World Cup later this year. Yeah, so he's a pretty high up ref.
It's like Jair Marufo, and Mark Geiger, or like the
GOAT.
Yeah, the 3 FIFA referees. And I think Armando Villarreal had one of the worst matches I've seen of a referee.
And again, it goes to show because he was consistently reffing the game in a way that favored physical play. Portland had 18 fouls in that game and 1 yellow card. Yeah. They had 11 fouls in the first half and 1 yellow card. And one thing I'd like to see more is, you know, you can call persistent infringement against a team. That's something a lot of people don't know. So if Barco gets fouled 4 times by 4 different players,
because it's targeting at that point,
exactly,
right?
You can still card the 4th guy for persistent infringement, even though he hasn't it's not him specifically who's fouling 4 times. And I don't blame Portland for playing physical and targeting Barco and PT, but the referee at some point has to be able to curtail that type of play. And it was great for Atlanta United to, you know, get through that. But I mean, it's frustrating to see your guys particularly your technical players, exciting players who should advance the league, getting hacked down as they should by the other team, because that's what you do. but not being protected by the referee.
Diego Chara, the fact that he was on the pitch for as long as he was, and he never even got a yellow card.
Tui Loma was should have had a yellow. I mean, it was really shocking.
The who was it that slid on Barco's back in the first half and didn't get any? Or no, maybe it wasn't Barco. It was Villafana. Who slid on Nagby's back whenever Nagby did him dirty in that corner and got past him.
Yeah, that was pretty great. Chipped him and then ran the out route. Yeah, it's pretty great.
And then Villafana just went after him on the back, got a caution. Yeah. Barco did the same thing on the other side of the field and gets a yellow.
That was the amazing thing was Barco then gets a yellow. Yeah. And it's like, and it's not that it wasn't a very good challenge, but when you do that, you're sending a message to the players, and Portland's thinking, okay, well, we're just going to keep hacking.
Right.
We're just going to keep hitting him. And you have a game Friday against Orlando, against a team that's going to do exactly that. They're going to play physical. They're because they know they're not as creative, they're not as technical. Right. So as a referee, you have to be prepared for that when you go into a match, whether it means showing an early yellow or just trying your best to put a stop to it early. And if it keeps happening, it keeps happening. Right. But you can't just allow it to happen unpunished, or guys are just going to keep fouling until they get that yellow card. And that's how Portland ends up with 18 fouls and 1 yellow over 90 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, you hate to see people get punished or lack thereof, particularly in things that you enjoy watching, like what happened recently in the MCU, where Spider-Man is no longer a part of the Avengers.
That's not true yet. They just haven't reached a deal yet. They just have not reached a deal yet. I'm really, really hopeful.
Guys are nerds.
Yeah. Can I get you to turn the mic a little to your right, Josh?
What are your thoughts on that, though?
There we go. What are my thoughts on
Spider-Man leaving MCU potentially?
My thoughts potentially. It's been my favorite.
It's terrible, right?
It's been like my favorite part of the MCU the past 2 years. I don't want to think about it because I can't deal with another Spider-Man. One going to Sony again. Like this is just miserable. I don't want to worry about it. I don't want to worry about that. So speaking of Orlando, most of the people in the trap for the past, half hour have been
talking about no more Spider-Man in MCU. Thank you, Elliot Beaven, for keeping us on brand, on topic.
The one comment keeping you on brand.
We have Orlando coming up on Friday. I did pose a question though, and I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on Twitter
on
earlier.
Lay's versus Pringles.
Oh,
Lay's Stacks versus Pringles.
That got shut down real quick. So I didn't realize that Lay's was like the cheap option.
Yeah,
it's $1 per pack.
Yeah,
but you know where I'm coming from. Where sometimes you want that crunch factor. More, it's crunchier than it is crispy, like a Pringle.
I got you.
Yeah, I got 6 boxes of sugar-free Kroger brand hot chocolate.
I heard about that.
I showed up to ClickList. They loaded up my car, and I get home. I'm like, "What is this?" I got 6 boxes of sugar-free.
Do you know Popeyes
chocolate.
Has a new chicken sandwich? I didn't know that until right before.
I also learned there's not an apostrophe in Popeyes before the S.
Oh,
even though there should be.
There are 2 There's only 1 Popeye though.
Like it belongs to Popeye?
Yeah, I thought it was a possessive Popeyes.
Not like your eyes pop out whenever you see that
the
chicken.
CEO is on record as joking, saying that something along the line, the restaurant being too poor to afford an apostrophe. On record, just joking around. So I never knew that.
That's pretty great.
So someone also said that there's like lines around. America's a horrible place. There are lines out of Popeyes.
You said beautiful, wrong.
I'm sorry.
You say beautiful in a completely
by horrible.
I do.
I meant freedom, but I hope it's delicious. I don't know. I mean, I'm hearing about lines down the block to get a Popeyes chicken.
So who do you think in MLS is going to stand up with the crowd mic this weekend, speaking up for Chick-fil-A or Popeyes? Like, who's going to make a statement about like make better chicken sandwiches now?
Yeah, I don't know.
Making a call out to Congress to stop this copyright infringement that Popeyes has put out on the original.
Yeah, I don't know.
It is a wild situation. You think an Orlando fan is going to make a comment about this? So what kind of chicken sandwiches do they eat in Orlando? What's like a terrible
Friendlies?
Friendlies, yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
or just a McChicken. Just the worst.
Yeah.
McChicken. You can't get much worse than a McChicken. No. Yeah, it is a yellow sponge battered and deep fried with a smattering of mayonnaise and just garbage confetti lettuce on there.
It really is. The lettuce is strange on there.
It's terrible.
Like, it doesn't seem...
Have you gone to McDonald's as an adult and tried to order any sort of real...
It's like you go to... It's like you get the Dole iceberg shreds, and then you shred them even more.
Yeah. So I think they press it, like they put it in the dehydrator, and then they just like they press it and steam it. Yeah.
Well, okay. Better steamed lettuce.
It's like a seaweed salad.
Who's got a better steamed lettuce? The McDonald's McChicken or the Crunchwrap Supreme?
Oh.
That just ruins it.
But it's got the crunch factor.
It does have the
they're
crunch
winning
factor.
there.
No, I posted favorite.
Can we talk about how bad Wendy's fries are before we talk about it?
Yeah, why are sorry, I keep screaming this mic. Why do they not try with their fries?
It's so fucking bad.
Yeah,
well, they went through the whole new rebranding of new fries.
Yeah.
You know who?
So fucking bad.
Yeah, but they taste.
This is the most heated discussion all night. Is talking about Wendy's fries.
Wendy's fries. I feel they're better than they used to be. They used to be these flavorless, unsalted pieces of.
Oh, you mean like they are now?
No, they at least have salt on them.
Barely.
I do hate McDonald's fries though.
Really?
What?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of McDonald's fries. I like Burger King's fries, and I know I'm going to get heat for that because they're a little battered.
Dude, how do you can go to Burger King and not get the onion rings is beyond me.
Yeah.
Also, the Impossible Whopper now. Have you had one yet?
I heard they actually taste pretty good.
I haven't had one. Just go to Grindhouse or Argosy in town and get one.
My favorite Impossible Burger is definitely the double from Grindhouse.
Argosy is pretty fucking good.
Let's see. What are people saying? Elliot Beaven says Burger King has the best fries. Yeah.
I like Checkers fries the most.
Ooh,
yeah, Checkers.
I like that crispy.
That's the Central Park fries from Sumter, basically.
Yeah, there's another little chain called Central Park. I think they have one in Warner Robins, Georgia, too.
Jeffrey Golden, how do you boot somebody? Who the fuck is voting on Steak and Shake? Those shoestring bullshit fries are garbage. You're a garbage person. How dare you? How dare you suggest such nonsense in here? I will allow any other fry recommendation, but those terrible Steak and Shake shoestring garbage fries.
Angry.
Okay. I'm going to give you two scenarios. You eat steak.
I'd rather just take a bite out of a potato than a fucking shoestring fry. What do you like? You can't. There's no way you can put it in any kind of sauce because you either get way too much or way too little. It's terrible portion control.
Their fries are pretty bad.
It's abysmal. I'd rather have Wendy's fries for life.
Okay, you get fresh Steak and Shake fries straight out of the fryer, or you have to sit in traffic with Zaxby's fries until you get home.
I'll take that, man. I'd rather fucking make a loaded baked potato and just mash them up.
Zaxby's crinkle fries are pretty bad.
But at least they've got they've got that little seasoning on.
Can we agree that Red Robin's
you can
steak fries are gross too?
I like the steak fries.
Oh. You talk about biting into a potato,
but you get unlimited.
Why is it that big?
But you get unlimited though.
Why do I want a fry that's
it's like the bottom of a flip flop size French fry?
No, it is like biting into a potato.
It's like if you just cut this.
It's a potato version of a Burger King French toast stick.
That's exactly what it is.
It's just a crispy French toast stick is all it is.
I just want a home before dark photo of Kevin biting into a potato. just make it your cover
like
photo.
Or Dwight on the Office bites into
the bee.
No,
the bee, yeah.
Or what they did with Creed when they swapped out the he was eating an apple and they were taking bets on if he would know if he would take a bite out of a potato. He just took a bite out of it.
Oh God. No, so I posted on Twitter earlier. I wanted to get people's opinions. What is your favorite sports movie in a reasoning in 5 words?
Sorry,
or
Jeff
less?
Goldenstein. I love you. I appreciate you
crushed
in.
him.
Yeah, you crushed his soul.
We at Mouths of the South like to retain our viewers.
What? We had fries somewhere the other day that were just just soggy McDonald's fries, and I'm trying to remember where we were. They were just so bad.
They're just sous vide McDonald's fries.
That's the thing. McDonald's
fried confit.
You know what?
Just put it in duck fat. Just don't even don't fry it. You just boil it. You just simmer it.
McChicken confit.
Simmer it.
It's McChicken oil.
Oh, that's so gross.
It's fried in McChicken.
That's so gross.
That is gross.
Yeah, I will say McDonald's fries when they're hot and fresh, they're good, but they have a really short shelf life.
Oh, absolutely.
They get gross. Okay, so favorite sports movie, 5 words or less as to why. Paul Bryson saying Bull Durham arguing with umpire. Oh my. Big time Bama fan Chris Fillingham saying Waterboy because I like boobies. to Bobby Boucher. Let's see. Elliot Beaven, Air Bud, World Pup Classic. What
are we talking about right now?
So what's your favorite sports movie of all time?
Oh, I missed that. When did you post this?
Earlier today.
Oh.
In your reasoning in 5 words or less. So Elliot Beaven so far, the winner with Air Bud. Domer said, just because it's oh fuck you Orlando hate week, said favorite sports movie, The Purge. He said, why? He said, why? Hunting stupid people is sport. It's true. Turgenev saying Bull Durham. I was in the show. Percy Herrera, who has terrible taste in shows, by the way, he keeps trashing The Office.
Oh my God!
For Parks and Rec.
Yeah, for Parks and Rec.
Which Parks and Rec is great up until the last season.
The last season is the worst season of television I've ever seen.
Parks and Rec wouldn't exist enough for The Office, right? I mean, it's the exact same format.
Percy Herrera saying beer league because he said too many things. So I'm going to stop at the 5th word. He said because who the fuck keeps stats? It says in soft pitch.
Standard Percy.
Yeah.
Standard.
Bill Holcomb just posting gifs of Happy Gilmore. That's a fair one.
Yeah.
Michelle saying a shot at glory. She posted way too many things, but saying Ally McCoist back then was very sexy, and so was Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton is still sexy. What are you talking about? He's one of the best villains in
Kendrick Brock, Cool Runnings. Feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme.
Ooh,
that's both.
That's
a great suggestion and that. Mine, Coach.
6 words though, isn't it? Feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme.
Oh, it is.
Oh,
damn it.
Why gotta be such a...
Sorry, guys.
Brian Reynolds with like an insider tip for Lakeside Waffle Fries at Georgia Southern.
I like it.
I don't know.
All right, here's mine. Coach Carter, he dies in the end.
It's not at all what happens. It's not at all what happens.
That's good.
Joe Johnstone saying Shaolin soccer. He said because it is Shaolin soccer. That is his fire.
Whenever Coach Carter came out, and everybody in high school was talking about it, and some girl was like really excited. She's like, I haven't seen it yet. I was like, oh, you didn't know he died in the end?
Oh man, I wanted to see that movie. Can't believe you spoiled.
That's brutal, man.
People really thought Kevin was spoiling that movie, but he doesn't die in the end. Payson saying
Payson.
Major League comedy walk-off bunt. Wesley Snipes. I'll give you it.
Who said Space Jam? Anybody?
Nobody. Because you know what?
LeBron ruined that whole franchise.
Jeez.
Kevin Brown with Wimbledon.
That
movie with Kirsten Dunst?
Yeah, and who was the other guy?
James McAvoy? Was he in that?
Is that the guy? Yeah.
Yeah, and then he posted the GIF, might want to change the sheets. That's 5 words. That's very clever. I like it.
Remember the Titans. Do you remember the Titans? Did you remember the Titans? That's mine.
Did you forget
the Titans?
Did you forget the Titans? I'm doing syllables.
This ain't a haiku, Tim.
Yeah. What is your favorite sports movie, for real?
I just told you all of them.
Okay. What about you, Josh?
I like Mighty Ducks 1.
That's a good
Mighty
one.
Ducks 1. Yeah.
Not the Goodwill Games from Mighty Ducks 2
I
against
like
Team
it
Iceland?
it's an inspiring story, but there's also edgy things like child abuse and DUIs within Mighty Ducks 1. So it's actually there's some adult content to it. There's a mix.
You're not wrong.
Once they went into D2, and I love D2, but it's just straight kids movie.
It is.
Mighty Ducks, I mean,
That's fair. I never thought about that.
Child abuse isn't funny in real life. But I thought some of it in the movies, like with the limo drivers got, I forget it's Averman or Peter, and he's like, got him up by his leg, like, get out of my limo, like holding him up, just hilarious. And then he teaches the kids to flop in the middle of practice. I mean, I love Mighty Ducks.
Oh,
yeah, it's pretty great.
I just remembered too, like legitimate ones that I watched a ton of. Johnny Tsunami and Brink.
Oh, yeah.
Watched a ton of both of those.
Yeah, Brink was
up.
good.
Yeah.
Brink was a really, really good bad movie.
So was Johnny Tsunami.
Yeah, that's true. Disney originals were like...
What was the other one? Surf Ninjas?
Surf Ninjas was great. Was Rob Schneider?
Yeah.
That kid was playing the Game Gear with no game in it.
What about Three Ninjas?
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Are we calling that sports?
Yeah.
Well, might as well, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I changed my vote.
Can you do Karate Kid to that same
I
point?
love Three Ninjas.
Three Ninjas was great.
Yeah,
Wait,
great.
is Greg calling out? He's saying we're not that drunk. Are you saying, I guess Beer Fest is his favorite sports movie?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Greg pulled out a ZJ reference on For the Culture a couple weeks back, or like a month or so back.
That's great.
He's like, what's a ZJ? I think Ringo asked him what a ZJ was. And he's like, if you have to ask, you can't afford it.
Oh, dodgeball. That's a good one.
Yeah.
From Chief Coach Steve.
Michelle Paravani asking, does a bit above the rim count? Absolutely it does. Kevin Bacon. I have, so the Damned United, which I will say again, Jason Longshore has still not returned that DVD to me.
Really? I didn't know.
Me calling out somebody in the trap. Tell them what you really think,
there
Tim.
You go, Jason.
Everybody,
Longshore
go tell Jason Longshore to return Tim's DVD copy.
Who knew he's such a klepto?
Everybody, I want everybody listening to this.
He's a fucking idiot. Some of the Atlanta United personalities that won't be named, fucking idiots. They're thieves. Fucking idiots,
dude. We haven't. That's the funniest thing that happened all week. Was the whole idiot gate thing. We should have. You guys should have led the show with that.
Yeah.
I want, especially talking about Eric.
Yeah. Right.
No, for real though. Everybody listening, go and tweet at Longshoe and say that Tim wants his Damned United Blu-ray back.
That's why you wanted to have him on the show, just so you could ask him to bring it back. Oh, that's great.
Wow. So he's a steal stuff.
Oh, that's great. That's really good.
Oh, speaking of which, yeah, where's the X-Acto knife? It's right there,
It's
Greg.
right there, Greg.
Yeah, you were doing surgery on the
Stay right there.
No, Damned United, if you guys have never seen Win-Win, wrestling movie about, it's like a very touching, heartwarming story. Paul Giamatti and Holly from The Office.
With all that stuff about the wine, and he drinks a lot of wine, and then he gets into soccer.
Yeah, him and Thomas Hayden Church.
That's the one.
THC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no. So is that the one where he turns blue?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And he turns into the Rhino from Spider-Man.
Yeah, Agent Cody Banks. Yeah.
Okay, good. Got it.
Yeah, this is going. You gotta stop.
What are you guys talking about?
I don't know.
It's just a bunch of Paul Giamatti movies.
So cool.
That was a Paul Giamatti niche. We're gonna clip that, put it on YouTube. It's a whole thing we're doing.
Your podcast is so much more fun than ours. Eric always staring me down from across the table anytime. With you guys, we just get to talk about movies and how Jason steals everyone's stuff. And
yeah, Kendrick's already leading the charge. Tweeting
He's already tweeted that Longshoe.
Please retweet it now, because if you don't, I will.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get refocused here.
Idiot Gate. Let's talk about that real quick.
It is Hate Week, and it's Orlando Week. So,
what exactly happened? Because I came into Idiot Gate like halfway through. I didn't. Yeah. I was like,
me too.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough when you come into the Atlanta United gates late, and you have to kind of work backwards through the Twitter ridiculousness. It's difficult to get caught up.
Yeah, usually has to go like to certain people's accounts and go and look for subtweets as to what's really going on.
Here's what I think happened, and someone out there correct me if I'm wrong. So after the game, Jason and Mike Conti were talking about the penalty, the PT non-call on the penalty, and apparently, first of all, Andrew Wiebe, host for MLSsoccer.com, had tweeted out right after that that PT's cried wolf too many times or something like that.
Which is
by the way, that's kind of indicative of exactly what we're talking about. What's wrong with American soccer culture not favoring creative players, but also, so they were talking about. Jason brought up that tweet, and then Conti said something to the degree of, well, these are some of the guys that say Atlanta United's not the second best team in the East.
Oh, no, they said that there's no clear-cut second best team in the league.
Bobby Warshaw had said that.
Yeah, there's no clear-cut second best team in the league.
And then
I think that was.
I think Jason kind of set him up, and Conti went to say, well, that pundit is an idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, so this got around Twitter, and MLS, they actually did their own little segment on it. You could tell Warshaw was kind of pissed. It's really much ado about nothing. Conti said afterwards, I shouldn't have said it. You know, these guys have worked. They had worked a long day. I think it's great content. But it was wonderful to follow along.
If I had a nickel for every time somebody called me an idiot, we would not have to pay nearly as much out of pocket for this show.
No, but Idiot Gate was, it was a wonderful. That was one of my favorite gates of the season.
But it's still a good. I think it's still a good discussion topic, because to your point, I think Bobby Warshaw inherently has a point to be made, which is who is a clear-cut second best team in the league right now. Because I think there are several teams that have an argument. And obviously, we don't know how the next 10 or so matches are going to play out. I think it's down to 8 in most cases right now. if you can't choose Atlanta United, maybe we'll pose it that way because obviously we're all going to say Atlanta United.
Yeah.
If it's not Atlanta United, who do you think right now is second best team in the league? Or maybe jumps Atlanta United in that standing? Because I think we can all make the case for Atlanta United right now.
I'm still torn. I mean, I think NYCFC is a team in England. In England, what am I talking about? In the Eastern Conference.
We miss Dan too.
Yeah. He's around, I hear. I haven't seen it. He just disappeared.
He's too busy making fucking cinnamon rolls and
I mean, me too, but you wouldn't see me not show. I guess I would say New York. I think Domataran's an underrated manager, although I think from a mentality standpoint, maybe he's not the best at man management, but I like them a lot. They have a good system of play. You're right, Tim. They haven't been good in the playoffs, but there really isn't, to me, a clear-cut second-best team because I think Galaxy could lay claim to that. I think even like a team like Minnesota United could lay claim to that. They've been really good this season. So, to Warsaw, I mean, we're all going to say Atlanta. Right. I'm going to say New York if I have to say another team, but I think this discussion alone shows you that Warsaw is right in the sense that there isn't a clear-cut second-best team in the league right now. It is fun to call people idiots, and that's okay. But I agree with him. I don't think there is. I mean, I would go with us because I'm a fan and because I would say, look, you've already kind of seen what Atlanta United can do, and they're looking like this team from last year now. But, I mean, Philadelphia could be in there. Yeah. There's really not a clear-cut second-best team. But you're right, man. Kevin, I think we'll see. The teams will separate themselves a little bit more over the next month or so.
And I think that what Bobby was inherently getting at and what a lot of Atlanta United's defense is going to be in making the case that Atlanta United is the second best team in the league is based on the run of form in the past 4 to 5 games. Yeah. Every team in this league at some point throughout the season has a really, really good month. Either it's at the beginning, it's somewhere in the middle, or it's at the tail end.
Colorado's had a good month.
Absolutely. Orlando. I mean, FC Cincinnati was at the top of the East at one point in time. Yeah. Every team in the league. I mean, think about that. At the beginning of the season, everyone goes, who the fuck? Like, FC Cincinnati comes out of nowhere, is running shit.
And Columbus, too.
Yeah, exactly. Columbus. Yeah. So, to Bobby's point, every team has had that, but to discredit him in some way is to state that while, yes, every team has some good month or some run of form of 4 to 5 consecutive games, I put way more stock in a run of 4 to 5 games towards the back 2/3 or the final third of the season than I do in the first 2/3.
That's really when you see the teams separate themselves. You want to peak at the right time going into the playoffs.
And who's peaking more than any other team right now?
I haven't begun to peak.
All right.
I think to your point, though, I think Atlanta still has some ways to go.
Because I tend to agree with what Brian's saying. He said the argument seems kind of silly. He said the second best team is whoever is playing the second best right now.
Right, but when you say the words clear cut, I think that means you have to have
okay,
right?
Exactly.
Semantics.
Exactly.
In your face.
Exactly.
Who do you guys think, if you can't say Atlanta, who do you think is the second best team?
I tend to agree with you, NYCFC, because of the not just what they're doing on the field, but the position that they've got themselves into, especially considering the opponents that they have to face in the final stretch. Like Philly arguably has the worst final 8 games of the season. Like they've got to play Red Bulls, they've got to play Atlanta United, they've got to play NYCFC, they've got to, I mean, they're if we didn't think that they were on their way out, they certainly are now. I mean, maybe they squeak out a win against DC, who seems to be floundering a little bit. DC, who we thought was potentially a contender to run the East, and between their departures that are coming up and then the way that they lost this past week and the way that they're losing right now, it seems like they're out of it. So I think right now, at least in the East, it's somewhere between Atlanta United and NYCFC. Now, on the West, Bobby also had a really good point, and I think a couple others mirrored that, which was that it'll be interesting to see a team like Portland who could really expose LAFC, in a playoff. Exactly. A counterattacking high press team that's going to play past that back line of LAFC, which has been exposed on the few times that they were exposed was by a team that played that kind of attacking style. Or LA Galaxy, we'll see.
Zlatan and
El Tráfico
edition is
again this week. Part 2 is this weekend. We'll see how that plays out, and if there's ever a better chance to cement yourself as a contender for the second best team in the league right now, it would be this weekend in that matchup. So,
do you go to New York too, Tim?
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like counting out Philly has been kind of silly. Every time that we've done that, whenever they've matched, we're like, oh, this is the moment where they're going to start really,
and they're
really sliding.
They're a much better team personnel-wise than they have been the last two seasons. So I think people are expecting them to fall back to that kind of team they've been, where they're like right around the red line fighting for the playoffs. But you've got Fabian in there now. I mean, I think, the two young center backs playing well. Philadelphia is I'm not going to say they're a second best team, but we shouldn't expect them to revert back to what they were the last few years and like a 6th, 7th type. I mean, they're a legit threat in the East. They're just a better team,
especially
better players.
While on paper they have arguably the worst final stretch of the season, they also are catching teams in opportune moments. So not only are they catching DC after a loss and a poor run of form coming up this week, but next week, whenever we play them, we're on a short turnaround week after playing Orlando, an Open Cup final, and then we're picking up Philly. Like that's a very quick run of games back to back on a short turnaround. So that could easily be a chance for them to capitalize on that. I mean, they could easily pick up 6 points right there. In 2 of those are 6-point games. So conceivably a 12-point spread in winning if they pick up 2 of their remaining 8, that's a huge leap for them because they've conceivably knocked out 2 of the teams that could leapfrog them at some point.
Yeah, NYCFC probably is the logical choice.
Yeah,
but I do like that call for Portland.
Portland, I mean, they're a team.
They're a good team, and the rest of their games are at home.
And
right?
you saw it against Atlanta, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, maybe they didn't finish off their chances, but they were super dangerous going forward.
And LA Galaxy, man. I mean, you're talking about a team that beat Galaxy, which is, literally was up until just a week or two ago.
LAFC?
Beat LAFC, yeah.
No, they beat LAFC and the Galaxy. I mean, they beat Galaxy twice.
You're saying Portland beat both.
Yeah,
of them.
That's what I'm saying. Like you're talking about Portland, who has beaten some of the best talent in the West already and proven to be able to be more than capable to do so against both the best in the West and the best in the East, if things maybe fall their way a little bit more so. And a team like LAFC that doesn't have a Miles Robinson to maybe make one of those plays or 2 of those plays that he does in that game this past week, you could easily see an LAFC, which seems unbeatable right now, get knocked out in a playoff structure.
I think one of the reasons that this discussion is so layered is because of the playoff format.
Absolutely.
And I'm actually kind of coming around on the single elim. I don't know, but I'm coming around on it because it really does make the regular season more important, where we can sit here and say, who's the second best team?
Yeah.
Well, I'll say Atlanta United if they're the 1 seed in the East.
Yeah.
I'll say if Atlanta United's not the 1 seed in the East, and maybe Portland, who's been amazing at home, finishes second in the West, maybe you go with them. And New York's obviously NYCFC very good at home. So much of it is going to be based on where these teams end up and match up in the seedings when you look at who is that next team after LAFC.
So the next point to that point is, for me, in a one game elimination scenario for Atlanta United, who in the East right now concerns you the most in a potential matchup if Atlanta does win the East? Because that's a real possibility right now, because you're not going to be playing the 2 seed in that scenario. So let me pull up the MLS standings. Who's floating around, let's say, between 5th and, because there's such a few amount of points separating 2nd through like 10th in the East right now. But who in, let's say, between 6th and 9th maybe gives you fits in playoffs?
You're talking about New England, Montreal,
not Orlando.
Orlando and Toronto are right now in that 5th through 9. I would say, or you say 5th through 9 or 6th through 9?
Let's say 6th through 9 right now.
So you're saying if Atlanta finishes first, who would you not want to play as the 6th? Okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to play New England.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that they went on a tear whenever Bruce Arena came back.
Dude, they're still, I mean, you're talking about win on a tear.
They've lost 2 straight.
No, they have not lost. They've only lost 1 game in the past 15 matches, and it was to LAFC 2-0.
Yeah.
They drew Red Bulls this past week.
Oh, that's right.
They drew Seattle. They beat Orlando. They beat Cincy. They beat Vancouver. They tied DC. I mean, this is a team that's on the rise right now, and who we could conceivably see make a big push if DC or one of these other teams in that 1st through 5th spot start to take a fall.
And it is a team with attacking firepower. So again, we go back to that kind of theme, Kevin, of the fact that Atlanta United are a little bit exposed when they go forward. and you have a team with a Carles Gil, with Gustavo Bao, I don't know, who's been a great addition. I mean, started to really score goals for fun. They actually have a good amount of attacking talent. Padilla can play, Fagundes can play. So that's a team for me. I'm with you. Tim.
I completely agree.
So great, awesome. We all agree with each other
there.
So good debate. Good.
No, I mean, again, to echo back to the conversation we just had previously, is that so much of the season and so much of playoffs is predicated upon where you're trending at going into playoffs, and New England right now is trending on the positive side of things against the best competition that they're going to face.
Yeah, because I thought, aside from Bruce Arena, they've done so much better with him coming in. I think they just have quite a few good attacking players that Brad Friedel was. I don't know what exactly he was doing, but he was rotating them in and out of the lineup. And Arena just came, okay, I'm going to just play all my best attacking players. And you see with New England that they can really, really score goals and be a danger. So I wouldn't want to play them.
We haven't played them since.
No, we haven't.
Yeah.
We haven't played Grego's asking, have we played New England since Arena came on? We haven't. We went up to New England and played them whenever Friedel was managing, right?
Yeah, early on.
Wow, Red Bulls ended up getting a red card as well in this game. So both teams are playing with 10 men, and it's in stoppage time right now. Red Bulls winning 2-1.
8 minutes of stoppage time, something crazy like that. Okay, we have 2 games coming up in the next
two huge games for
the next 6 days. We have Orlando Hate Week on Friday. Dirty South Soccer's OFYO t-shirt has been banned from Orlando City Stadium.
No way.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
I didn't know that
We
shit.
made it. We made it.
No shit.
Yeah.
So did our media credentials. So we're all part of the same.
Yeah, the front office apparently. The front office have banned that T-shirt from showing up. Into the stadium.
A trash organization!
The best part about it is how generally just insecure they are with how quickly Atlanta United has passed them up, and the response has been so generally hysterical and in terms of overspending for players, not really acquiring balance, not firing your head coach last year in Christ, not having a contingency plan. I'm convinced that the fact they've gone from a mediocre team to an unstable franchise has a lot to do with them trying to react to Atlanta United and just failing miserably.
Yeah.
I think they could catch us this week, potentially.
See, I hate this stupid law of averages argument that comes up every single time that we play Orlando.
I'm not talking about law of averages.
Oh, okay.
I beat somebody and then therefore we can beat you. I'm not talking about that.
No. Law of averages meaning we're eventually going to lose to them.
I'm not talking about that either. I'm talking about Atlanta United. If I had to, let me put it this way. If I had to choose, we have 3 big games coming up. One of which being a rival, one of which being an Open Cup final, one of which being against the number 2 team in the East. That's a 6-point swing.
And we still keep that game in hand.
And all 3 of those are within a 1-week span. If I had to pick up 2 of those to win and 1 to lose, the 1 to lose is Orlando 100% of the time.
Well, guess what? We don't have to play full force in Orlando to win that game. We can take the foot off the gas.
Would you guys rotate heavily for this, or
I don't think heavily. I think I would see probably Dion Pereira come in for Justin
Miro. Tito needs to get some minutes, man.
The Tito thing is getting almost weird at this point. I mean, you wonder if De Boer is just at a point where he's like, I don't rate this guy. He's not training the way I want. He's not even going to be a piece, or is it a fitness thing, or what?
I personally think it might be a fitness thing. It's weird because we didn't get an LCL injury. There was just a nondescript ligament type injury that he had early on in the season. And it's one of those ones that doesn't require surgery. It's kind of hard to gauge when they're fully back, but you would think by now, if he's been in the 18 for 3 straight games, that he would see the field.
It doesn't seem like De Boer, when Barco came back from his injury, there was a very clear progression where he played 15 minutes, then he played a half, then he played 60 minutes, and with Tito, it's been he's had a couple cameos of 5 to 7 minutes. So it seems almost
he's been a time-wasting substitution.
Exactly. Yeah. So it seems almost like De Boer isn't necessarily prepared for him to be a big piece from what he sees.
Well, I wonder what the strategy is on that, because it could be a couple of different things, right? It could be a lack of development or a concern for his fitness as it stands currently. It could be the fact that maybe, and I hate to say this or hate to recognize this, that maybe the team is trying to sustain him for some potential sale in the offseason. It could be that they are trying to make sure that he is healthy and available if and when the time comes, whether down the stretch or in playoffs. Like there's a couple of different, like there's a lot of reading in between the lines with him not playing, but you know, he needs to get some minutes. And I think he's a prime candidate to play in that Orlando game. But I think it was Kendrick that mentioned it in jest about hashtag like in the hunt. That's another big part of this Orlando game is that you're talking about a team that's in the number 8 position right now. They have a lot more to gain by beating Atlanta this week than Atlanta has to lose by losing to them with the 2 games that Atlanta has coming up versus the games that Orlando has coming up. And I'm fully braced for impact because our Twitter page is going to suffer the repercussions for the amount of trolling we've done over the past 2 or 3. The amount of trolling I've done over the past 2 or 3 years.
I mean, since your podcast started.
Exactly.
And I deserve all of it and probably then some. But if I had to pick one of the 3 games to lose, it would obviously be Orlando. As much as it sucks if it does happen, I don't. And also to your point, I don't think it has to happen. We can win all 3 games, but it is a lot to ask out of a team that needs to do a lot in a short amount of time.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think? We talked really briefly about squad rotation, but how much squad rotation do you see?
I mean, not much. I think you nailed it. Maybe some wingback rotation where maybe you'll see a switch at the left back spot. I think you can expect there's kind of that standard rotation where either if Remedi is
injured.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe
we have no Remedi and no Escobar.
Michael Parkhurst.
That's true. You could So that's one thing you could read into is if you see Parkhurst, whoever's on the bench is probably going to start the cup final. If you see Pogba, then you would assume that then Parkhurst sits. You see him in the U.S. Open Cup final.
He's gotten so little game time.
That's why I think Parkhurst is probably primed for the Orlando match versus Open Cup.
And you guys, you're right. I mean, conventional wisdom would say Tito, right? But the board doesn't seem to, at least recently, rate him at all.
Well, the fact that he and Bello are both training at least speaks to the fact that they're in the discussion. Like Escobar wasn't even at training today.
What about seeing Mo?
Escobar's out.
Mo Adams maybe instead of Lorenowitz playing in that central defensive midfield role.
Again, it's a matter of you don't want to switch up too much because while I'm comfortable with losing that game, you don't want to lose that game. You don't want to sort of rock the boat on everything. Mm-hmm. What I'd love to see is Justin Meram go out there and score a fucking goal.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I think Heinemann probably
Heinemann. We didn't say Heinemann.
I think Heinemann will probably play for Nagbe or for
now Heinemann in for Lorenowitz makes way more sense for me than Mo Adams right now.
Really? Because I see Mo Adams as more of a defensive midfielder than Heinemann is.
It's not about his skill set. It's about his familiarity and his play time with the team right now.
I get that, but you're talking about Mo Adams who started at LAFC. It's not like he's unfamiliar with the team. And then also this team kind of relies on having some sort of stopping midfielder. If you don't have Remedi and you don't have Lorenowitz out there, I don't think Heinemann really comes in and gives you that in the midfield.
Well, then maybe he's in for Nagbe.
You need some sort of anchor that's going to allow somebody like Nagbe or Heinemann. I think I see them as carbon copies of one another.
That's a good point.
At least in their style of play. I think one for the other. I have liked to see Heinemann and Heinemann and Nagbe play at the same time. But it is a little redundant at times to have them both on the field.
And I think if you see Heinemann, it's probably going to be for Barco or PT. With the other one playing up top, but we'll see what happens there. But I think you're going to see maybe two or three changes. I think as far as rotation goes, Frank de Boer tipped his hand by going first choice 11 for the Campeones Cup. I think that pretty much tells you
how fucking great was that game.
Which was great. Did you go? Great. No, I didn't. I was coaching, and I was like, whatever, it'll be a boring one, And then I got home, and I was like, this is fantastic.
I did not go. Thank you, Tim, for taking Katie and I. That was fucking awesome. Like, I can't imagine missing that. No offense to you for having to miss it.
I regretted it. Yeah.
It was one of those things, and I think you said it perfectly the next day on Twitter. Aside from the MLS Cup final and maybe a couple other games, like that is up there with one of the best experiences in Mercedes-Benz that I've had.
The game was fantastic.
The game was great. The showing of the crowd amplified both sides.
It seemed like a unique crowd where it was genuinely not totally split, but you had fans from both
sides.
Yeah.
I think,
dude, it was 50-50.
Was it 50?
Yeah, I would say
nuts,
at best it was maybe 60-40.
And I bet a lot of those Club America fans are also Atlanta United fans.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So cool. It seemed like a cool kind of unique atmosphere there. But I really do think that, if DeBoer is going to come out first choice 11, treat the Campeones Cup in that way, that certainly for a league match against Orlando, you're not going to see crazy rotation across the board.
Unless, again, to your point about tipping his hat towards what he did in Campeones, he's holding up for Open Cup final when he knows he's going to have to do they're thinking about the same shit we are.
Yeah.
That they've got Open Cup final and the number 2 team in the East back to back on a short turnaround. Now, luckily, Atlanta benefits. I think Philly's home, right?
Yes.
So you've got, at least it's a short week, but you're at home, so that we benefit from that.
No, Philly. It's Philadelphia's at home.
Oh,
yeah.
We only have 2 more home games.
Yeah, Philadelphia's at home.
Shite. What do we got? Columbus and who else at home? The last game of the season, right? New England.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's all we have left, right? We have 2 home games.
It's 2 or 3. It's not many.
I think it's 3.
I think it might have been 6 of the last 9 is what I heard.
3 and Open Cup final, I think is what we've got.
So maybe it's an
Columbus, New England, one other I can't remember, and then
so we're at home against Columbus September 14th. Our next home game. San Jose on the 21st, and then New England on the 6th of October.
Okay, so 3.
So yeah, I think let's catch up on the trap here. I know that a couple people kind of agreed with us about 2 or 3 substitutions at most. I guess Bello is playing with the 2s currently. I know he's been training and stuff, so he's getting closer.
I don't know where he fits on the field. I guess he could play wing back.
He would be the left wing back. Yeah.
Elliot Beaven, with the point about Kratz, is also in for the 2s. Is Kratz a foregone conclusion? Is pretty much his tenure as a viable player in the 18 is done?
I mean, if he's your 5th or 6th choice center mid, I think that's pretty good. But yeah, I mean, that doesn't inspire much confidence he's going to play much.
Yeah, because he's behind Nagbe, Rometty, Heineman, Lorenowitz,
and Mo Adams.
And I would put Barco, I mean, as far as center mids in that list too. I mean,
his work rate playing defense, tracking back has been incredible.
Yeah. So it's going to be, but I mean, as far as 6th, 7th choice center mid goes, it could be a lot worse.
Like, don't get me wrong, but it's one of those things that.
Did he score a free kick the other night?
Did he?
Maybe I'm incorrect.
Have the 2s been doing anything better?
They've won 2 games recently.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's good to hear because they were pretty bottom of the barrel there for a while.
It's not been great.
All right, so score predictions, I guess
for Orlando.
Yeah,
2-0 to the good guys.
I'm gonna say 2-1 Orlando.
Man, wow. I'll go 3-1 Atlanta.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And then we got Minnesota on Tuesday.
Orlando sucks, man. What are you talking? We really think they're going to beat us?
Yeah, I do.
Jeez. All right. Well, heard it here first.
I do.
Explain to me how they beat us. Who's scoring goals? Because Dom Dwyer is worse in the box than Petey is.
Yeah.
He's
missed a ton of. I think if you look at his conversion rate on "quote unquote" big chances, it's comically bad.
It's awful. I don't know. Maybe Nani or what's that? What's the skinhead kid that they got?
The Mueller report.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nani or Mueller, I think maybe.
You know what the Mueller report says?
What?
2-0 Atlanta.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
It's not a law of averages thing. It's a matter of us playing them on the road. They've played us more than any other team has this season already between regular season and Open Cup matches.
This will be number
4, yeah.
Number 4.
Number 4. They've got a lot to prove and a lot to gain by beating Atlanta.
They still have unfinished business.
Hashtag in the hunt.
I can't remember who posted. I
hashtag in the gun.
Somebody replied and said something to the effect of, we appreciate your green initiative and your ability to recycle this TIFO over and over again.
Now, I would be okay with a draw. Do you guys forget that a draw is an option for Atlanta United? How many draws have we had this season? 3?
Cincinnati comes to mind.
Cincinnati, Philly.
Right, which was a long fucking time ago. I always forget.
There's one more, and I can't remember who
I always forget. It always seems like win or loss. So I would be okay with it. I could maybe see us doing like a 2-2 or a 1-1. I don't think it's going to be a ton of goals scored.
What do we have? We have 12 out of our 15 or 14 wins or shutouts.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Red Bulls is the
it was 1-1, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
Well, remember we
no,
went
2-2,
right?
Was,
Joseph scored. That was
2-2 with
BWP. A draw I could see happening. I'm gonna stick with 2-1. I think I don't like the optics of not just what Orlando's been doing in a run of form. Granted, they just lost to Minnesota, but overall, I mean, they haven't been in a terrible run of form. I'm trying to pull up their most recent.
I like
matches.
what Michelle says. She says, "Kevin, you practically said the same thing the last time we played."
That's kind of my thing because I thought it was set up so well for them in the Cup semifinal to finally beat Atlanta United with Joseph Martinez not traveling and being at home and it being labeled as the biggest game in Orlando City history, and then just get blasted.
All right.
I figured if that wasn't the time, what is?
I think I'm gonna roll it back. The more I'm looking at their recent results, the more I'm convinced. Yeah. So they beat Columbus in fucking middle of July. Big damn deal.
And it's Columbus.
They draw Portland. They lose to Red Bulls. They lose to New England. They beat FC Dallas. That's probably their best win, arguably. Lose to us. Draw Toronto. Beat SKC. Draw Minnesota, who I thought Minnesota was the better team.
And they equalized on a long throw-in.
They equalized on a long throw-in in stoppage time, but ultimately the better team. I mean, just looking at the stats for Minnesota: 22 shots, 6 on target, 55%
I'm not letting you drive home.
Fuck off. Yeah, I mean, I'm changing a loss to a draw. I'm still not convinced on a win yet. I'm gonna say 1-1.
Okay.
I'm going 1-1.
So if we go another 5 minutes, it'll go to an Atlanta win, right?
Another round for the boys.
Josh, this is a microcosm of what I've had to deal with for the past, I don't even know.
College football season's coming, Playboy.
This is you just did your Monday to Friday Clemson bipolarity. Dude, it's the middle of the week.
How dare you make fun of my condition?
What, graduating Clemson?
My manic bipolarity.
No, middle of the week. It's like they're playing Grambling. He's like, I don't know, man. This game this weekend, like I feel like we're gonna get exposed.
Coastal Carolina looks tough this year. It's a trap game.
Need some more dogs.
Talk shit, get pit.
Yeah, talk shit. That is get snake pit. You were snake pitting on that. That's
man, this has been one of the best shows we've done in a while.
Yeah,
this has been a lot of fun.
Was it good? Good.
Yeah,
I had fun too. You guys are fun.
I'm glad you didn't prepare.
Yeah,
I like not preparing.
Yeah,
Eric gets very upset with us when it's like you got that statistic wrong in the 22nd minute of the show. I'm like shut up, Eric.
Tim got mad.
What do you have? You have Stat Boy getting on there?
I know.
Pardon the interruption.
And the thing is, I thought I was that nerdy role of the show, but Eric will. Yeah, I mean, if you get something wrong, God bless him. But I mean, he's the one ruining our club. I don't see why he has anything to get on me about statistics.
Totally. All right. Should we do reviews?
Oh, yeah, we do have reviews. Yeah, we have 3 new reviews, I think.
3? Nice. Do you want to read one, Josh, or do you want us to?
Sure, I'd love to read one.
Okay, so we actually printed one off for you. So hold on one second.
Oh, my God.
Oh, nice.
This is what Kendrick is asking.
Oh, okay. I already have an idea of what it's going to be. HB4D greater than MOTS. Our acronym is greater than your acronym. Good for you.
We didn't do that. We didn't solicit it.
I don't necessarily disagree with that.
Blame Eric again.
Blame Eric. Can we get that on here too?
Oh yeah, we got voicemails too. Okay.
We have one voicemail.
Let's see here. Definitely not the boring 5 stars. My favorite Atlanta United podcast. These guys constantly make me giggle and LOL in my car or while doing tasks on my honey-do list. Perfect blend of game review, team tactics talk, overall league analysis / review, as well as utter nonsensical banter. Super fun and the perfect amount of content / episode length. Always smile when an episode appears on my feed. By JTL, another North ATL dad on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it.
That's a good one.
What's next?
Let me go back.
It's been so long since we've read any of these.
I know, right?
It's been a while.
Keep them coming, guys. Oh crap! Did it wrong
again. You lost it?
No, I got it. I'm just let's see here. It's weird because of the way I clicked on that one, and then because some of them don't do the whole thing. Oh, here's a long one. I'll let you do that one.
Oh, geez. Okay. The review is the best. 5 stars. Says, disclaimer, this is the first review I've ever left on iTunes. With that being said, this is hands down one of my favorite sports podcasts. Each week, these guys bring analysis and insight on all things Atlanta United, all while throwing in a dose or few of non-related banter that keeps the conversation entertaining. This is the only podcast I have alerts set for and truly look forward to week after week. Thank you guys for keeping my commutes and long runs enjoyable, and keep up the great work. That's from Runs Trails.
I'm looking forward to the 1-star review
wait.
from Goldenstein.
Runs Trails?
Runs Trails.
Oh, Runs Trails.
Runs
I meant
Trails.
like runs with a T.
Yeah,
it's like if you want a 5-star review from that guy, you can take that.
Can we all agree that banana
Runs Trails?
He's just a runner. Okay, even worse.
Can we all agree that banana runs are the worst?
Yeah. What? Yeah.
It's just
my
fucking awful.
My man. Yeah.
Just awful.
Yeah.
And then is this? No, that's
no. You got to go back.
You got to go back.
So don't cut your fingers on my phone.
Oh yeah, this is tough. It's gonna be tough to not do that. And then there's one more. Yeah, ATL United fan for life. 4 stars out of 5.
I'll take it. Okay. I'll take it.
Says love the detail highlights and causal. Okay.
CAUSAL.
Yeah. Keep it up, Atlanta United FC for life. That's Globe Trekker. Yeah,
I like it.
I want to know why he took a star away from you.
I should have let you read that one.
Yeah,
especially with a fake word in it. I would
causal.
What does that? What is that? What? Wait, say it again.
I think they were talking. I think he was meaning like, okay, love the detailed. I think it was supposed to be love the detail highlights and causal. Keep up, Atlanta United.
I think he's probably started trying. It's casual.
Yeah, I think it's like I like the detailed highlights and casual atmosphere kind of deal. Keep up. Oh, wait a minute. We never do this, but we do get YouTube comments. We got a YouTube comment last week.
Yes,
right before Campione's.
While I was sleeping, so
I'd be remiss if we didn't bring this up on the episode with For the Culture Zone, Grego. By Mr. Luis De Leon regarding the Campione's Cup. You have no chance of winning. Men versus boys. And then went so far as to put a YouTube video of the team traveling to Atlanta. To that, I'd like to respond more like men versus giants.
Yes. Ooh, that'll show him.
Yeah.
Don't tell him.
Hombres gigantes.
You aim for the king. You best not miss.
Yes. Yes.
It's good to be the king.
Any Omar Little reference. Get a pat on the back from me.
What you got? Voicemails?
Yeah, we got one.
You gonna fuck it up? Yep. Definitely are. Cool. Keep it up. Delete it.
There we go.
What's going on, guys? All right. So we're going to keep rolling with the general theme I've had in my most recent phone call. And if you could put Frank DeBoer in anything on the sideline to emphasize his sexiness, what would he be wearing? I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
What was the question? I got distracted.
If you could put Frank DeBoer in any clothing attire to make him look the most sexy, what would it be?
Whatever he was wearing against Portland. He had no socks on with some loafers and some.
I like when he goes. He has the maroon.
Like a cowl neck sweater.
I like when he goes with the maroon shirt. I think that looks good. He's a great dresser.
I think he could just do one of these in his closet.
You can really tell he loves himself by the way that he dresses. He really loves himself.
Yeah,
you know,
I could see that.
That's not a criticism.
Men like Frank DeBoer give me confidence that I might be able to hold this thing together and make a run at it, because it's not often you see
make a run at it.
Like make a run at looking halfway decent later in life.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true.
Inspiration. Like it's tough as you get older. Coming from somebody that just got a year older, it's.
Yeah, Kevin's birthday was on Monday.
That's why we didn't record.
Yeah. Yep.
Because Tim didn't want to celebrate. Remember, hey, some of you old homies, with before the battery died, Brittany S., Joe Johnstone, Domer. I know Dan will remember it if Dan's listening.
Oh, fuck off.
Remember a couple years ago when we did a whole birthday celebration on air for Tim's birthday? Because Tim's birthday is just a couple weeks away. Whoa. I'll make sure that everybody remembers, wishes him a happy birthday. I'm going to do it big just to rub it in because that's the kind of person I am. And our friendship's built on guilt. So guilt not built. Hashtag guilt not built. That pretty much wraps up the past 15 years in our past. But no, Tim had another schedule conflict on my birthday, which I'll allow. So we not only didn't celebrate, but we also didn't record. So I'll allow it.
I took my wife to go see Heart and Brandy Carlisle.
And meanwhile, broke mine.
Yeah.
Man, but yeah, it's good to see Frank DeBoer give me some faith that I might be able to.
I like that. Yeah,
he
does give hope to us.
Every year, I'm like, it's getting harder to keep this thing together. Does anybody older than my age ever look decent? And then people like Frank DeBoer.
The thing is, I think he was always good looking.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
This is what's demoralizing. This is what's demoralizing to me.
Got a good head of hair. This guy, he's got it all.
So this guy is in his late 40s, mid 40s.
Yeah,
he looks better than I've ever looked in my life. Like that's demoralizing. That's not inspiring.
Okay. That's a good point.
I guess there's two sides to this. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
that's a good question. Is does Frank DeBoer's sexiness inspire you, or does it make you want to give up?
I think this is a whole psychology report on how we both view life.
It's true.
It's interesting.
It's very true.
We'll let
this is the longest episode we've had in a don't want it to end.
It's been well worth it. Yeah, it's been good.
I don't want it to end either. But.
So as it's ending, where can everybody find you and Mouse of the South and Eric if they really care to?
You can find me at JoshB914. You can find the podcast at MOTS Podcast, and you can find our other two co-hosts. You got Eric at Eric G. Quintana. Tweet him. He's in Uruguay right now seeing his family. We have to keep him there or just far, far away, however we can, however we might do it to save our club. And then also Sam Franco, who I recorded with yesterday with Eric out of the country, is at Sam J. Franco. And we usually record on Wednesdays, but since Eric's out of the country, it was great to come on with you beautiful people. And we got to do it again soon. Yes. This was fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, man.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You can find all of us collectively at Home Before Dark. That's before spelled B and the number 4. Keep those reviews, ratings, stars, thumbs up, thumbs down, low stars, subscribing, whatever. Keep them coming. If you leave a rating or a review on iTunes, we'll read it aloud on the show. We can't really read ratings, but helps nonetheless. We only need what, 16, 17 more to reach our goal of 200 this year. Yeah. So we're getting there. We only got a couple more weeks of the regular season. So keep them coming. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. However you did, whether it's on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Pocket Casts, YouTube, however you found us. We love the hell out of you. Those of you that tune into the trap each and every week, we love you too. On Twitter, wherever. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. As always, be home before dark.